Braves had a great year surprisingly, considering they were projected to finish 4th in the NL East. They played consistent baseball all season and broke away from the Phillies in early September, winning the division by a comfortable margin. After all-star seasons from Freddie Freeman and Nick Markakis and a breakout year from rookie sensation Ronald Acuna, the Braves are poised to make some noise after a 5-year playoff drought. The Braves might have reached playoff form earlier than expected, but they played with tons of swagger and confidence. They had one of the best defenses in baseball, highlighted by sweet double play combos up the middle with Ozzie Albies and Dansby Swanson. The Braves are expected to roll out a 4-man rotation of all right-handed pitchers, which would work in favor for the lefty-dominant Dodgers lineup. One of those right-handers is Mike Foltynewicz. Folty is my key player for the Braves. The hard-throwing righty finished 6th in the NL in strikeouts and established himself as the ace of this Braves rotation. With that title comes the responsibility of starting Game 1. If Folty can deliver a Game 1 victory, it would instill a lot of confidence for the young Braves and apply some pressure on the Dodgers. The Los Angeles Dodgers' signature season win was in early September when they took 3 of 4 from a struggling Diamondbacks team. With that series win, they took over the division lead and once again certified their dominance in the NL West, eventually capturing their 6th straight division title. The Dodgers feature a powerful hitting lineup. They hit 235 home runs as a team, which was good for first in the National League. They had 9 different players who hit 20 home runs or more. They were equally dominant with their starting rotation. Led by Clayton Kershaw, the Dodgers have a good mix of veteran pitchers and young gunners. They did suffer from a subpar bullpen unit, even with the return of closer Kenley Jansen, but were able to shift some of their starting pitchers to relievers, which speaks volume to their roster depth and flexibility. My key player in this series for the Dodgers is Manny Machado. Machado was brought in at the deadline to make a difference in the playoffs. He has one of the best gloves in all of baseball, with the ability to play either position on the left side of the infield. Ultimately though, it's his patience and clutch hitting that will lead the charge in the middle of this Dodgers lineup. My pick to win this series is the Dodgers. They possess a dangerous lineup, a deep bench that can match up, elite starting pitching, and are no strangers to a playoff atmosphere. And although the Braves had a great season, the Dodgers are defined by their success in the playoffs, and nothing short of a World Series championship would be satisfactory for this franchise. The Indians weren't tested at all in the regular season, cruising to an AL Central title. They cleaned up against all their division opponents, but played sub-500 ball against everyone else, including a 3-4 season series loss to the Astros. They had one of the best pitching rotations in baseball, led by reigning Cy Young champ Corey Kluber. They're also led by 2 MVP candidates on the offensive end in Francisco Lindor and Jose Ramirez, both guys who topped 35 home runs and played great defense. The bullpen was a little shaky all year, but they still have 2 guys in Cody Allen and Andrew Miller who were key pieces of their World Series run 2 years ago. The Indians made some great moves at the deadline, acquiring legit bullpen arms and also slugger Josh Donaldson. Donaldson is my key player for this team. The former MVP was out of action all year until September, when the Indians traded for him in hopes of bolstering their lineup for the playoffs. He has tons of playoff experience during his time with the Blue Jays. If Donaldson can regain form and return to being anything close to what he was during his best seasons in Toronto, that would give the Indians a star-studded top half of the lineup that can break down the Astros starting pitching. The Astros became the first team since the 2005 Cardinals to win 100 games in back-to-back seasons, all while fending off the Oakland A's en route to another AL West title. After adding Garrett Cole to a rotation that already had 2 former Cy Young winners in Justin Verlander and Dallas Keuchel, they turned a strong rotation into a dominant one. No matter how the Astros set their rotation for this matchup, they figured to have the advantage. My key player for the Astros is Alex Bregman. After a terrific regular season, putting up numbers that should earn him some MVP votes, Bregman will look to fill the power void in the middle of the lineup. Bregman led the team in home runs and RBIs, all while playing Gold Glove caliber defense at third base. His play will be vital to the Astros' postseason success. My pick for this series is the Cleveland Indians. The Indians' rotation can go bar for bar with the Astros' rotation, so it's a pretty even matchup there. My worry with the Astros is that their offense will struggle to outperform the Indians' offense. The Indians have 3 30-plus home run guys in their lineup, while the Astros only have 1. If the Indians can get guys on base for their power hitters and deliver in those situations, they'll have a strong chance to knock off the defending champions. The Colorado Rockies were one of the hottest teams in the stretch run, winning 9 out of their final 10 regular season games. They had a chance to lock in their spot in the playoffs, but lost to the Dodgers in the tiebreaker game and accomplished a near impossible feat, beating the Cubs for the last wild card spot the very next day. Carrying a vastly improved pitching staff, the Rockies are much more than just a stacked lineup nowadays. They rely much more on their pitching now, including young studs Kyle Freeland and German Marquez. However, they are still just as dangerous with the bats, featuring usual suspects Charlie Blackmon, Nolan Arenado, and Trevor Story. Speaking of Charlie Blackmon, he is my key player for the Rockies. He's the catalyst at the top of their lineup, setting the tone early and often. After a somewhat down hitting year, Blackmon still led the NL in runs scored with 119. If Blackmon can find his way on base from the leadoff spot consistently in his division series, it will put a lot of pressure on opposing pitchers facing Nolan Arenado and others with guys on base. The Milwaukee Brewers made some big splashes in the offseason, including the acquisitions of Lorenzo Cain and Christian Yelich. They continue to be aggressive at the trade deadline this season, picking up Mike Moustakas and Jonathan Scope, further adding on to their deep lineup. Christian Yelich had a dominant year for the Brewers and is the clear-cut candidate for MVP in the National League. He and Lorenzo Cain are a dynamic 1-2 punch at the top of the lineup. Their pitching staff features no true aces, but Joel Chacin and Wade Miley had solid seasons. They figured to start games 1 and 2 at home. The Brewers' identity has been their bullpen, led by key player Josh Hader, a versatile young left-hander that struck out a ridiculous 143 guys in 81.1 innings. That averages out to nearly 16 strikeouts per 9 innings, which easily leads the league for all pitchers. Hader has done everything for the Brewers, from closing games, matching up with opposing teams' best hitters, and going 3 complete innings if asked to. The success of the Brewers will ride or die with Hader, as he is going to be the go-to guy in any high-leverage situations. This is a tough pick because both teams are rolling right now, but I gotta go with the Rockies to win this series. Both offenses have all-star caliber talent throughout. The starting pitching units are pretty even matched as well, though I'd give the Rockies a slight edge. The Brewers have the better bullpen, but not by much. Rockies' bullpen has been quietly dominant recently, and Wade Davis has a terrific track record in the playoffs. This is a series that has the potential to go to 5 games. The almighty Yankees managed to break the single-season team home run record by clubbing 267 home runs, even while Aaron Judge spent 2 months on the DL. Judge is back right in time for the playoffs to join Giancarlo Stanton in the middle of this juggernaut lineup as they head to Boston in the battle of the heavyweights. The Yankees can more than handle their own on the offensive end, but their pitching has been questionable. Luis Severino was dominant in the first half of the season, but the second half was a complete disaster. Luckily, the Yankees have one of the best bullpens in baseball, giving them the ability to play matchups and pick up struggling starters. My key player for the Yankees is Aaron Judge. Judge missed a large portion of the year due to a wrist injury, so it's fair to doubt his level of comfort swinging the bat, but his power is undeniable. The Yankees are going to expect Judge to provide tons of pop, hitting in his usual 2 spot ahead of Giancarlo Stanton. Thanks to an offense powered by MVP candidates Mookie Betts and JD Martinez, the Red Sox led the majors in most offensive categories: runs scored, batting average, on-base percentage, doubles, RBIs, the list goes on. But most importantly, the Red Sox got wins in bunches, especially early in the season, which allowed them to cruise to the playoffs. Other than a stacked lineup, the Red Sox also had one of the most dominant pitchers in the game, Chris Sale. Sale is no doubt going to anchor this Red Sox rotation, but the question remains about other pitchers on the roster, most notably David Price. Price is my key player for the Red Sox. He was terrific in the second half of the season, picking up the team when Sale was out with injury. However, his postseason numbers paint the story of his playoff failures. 2-8 with a 5.03 ERA. Perhaps at this point in his career it's more mental than anything, but Price will need to settle down and pitch to his potential. He figures to start Game 2 at Fenway. My pick for this series is the Boston Red Sox. Even though the Yankees hit more home runs, Boston has a slight edge and is a better overall offense, hitting for a better average and more doubles. And although the Yankees have a far better bullpen, the Red Sox have Chris Sale, who has shown that he can be nearly untouchable at times. Getting Sale for potentially 2 games this series gives Boston a big time edge. I expect this to be the most dramatic and entertaining series.